Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we're going to dive into some beautiful Venus energies in today's show as we are moving through a pivotal cycle in the Venus star point journey. And we're going to discuss what it means, how it's designed to help you with your own relationship dynamics, how there's also new frequencies of self-actualization, self-love, and self-awareness that come through with this particular Venus cycle. So we will touch on all that and more, plus an understanding of how people are being brought together through the higher 5D frequencies. I think this is really important to understand. So we're going to talk about that as well. So this will be a relationship focused topic, which I know is important to so many of you. And I hope it gives you some insights into what you are experiencing in your own life. So let's dig into the astrology first. So on June 4th, 2024, Venus will be exactly conjunct the Sun at 14 degrees of Gemini, 30 minutes. And this is called a full Venus. This is a superior conjunction where Venus is creating a new cycle of understanding based on what she's been learning through Gemini themes over the past 4 years. Now, 4 years ago, we had Venus retrograde in Gemini. So she spent 4 months in the sign of Gemini back in 2020. And due to that extended period of time in Gemini, she met up with the Sun through an exact conjunction at 13 degrees, 30 minutes of Gemini. And because she was retrograde, there was a new invitational pull into herself, into the interiors of her needs, her energies, her communications. Also what she was ready to learn next, what she was ready to understand about herself and her needs, as well as how she was communicating her truth and showing up in these Venus expressions. So Venus was retrograde and conjunct the Sun, which we call an inferior conjunction, and that began a new understanding of what she was ready to study and learn, especially in Gemini. Gemini being the mind, education, perceptions, our thoughts, what we're drawn to, what we think about, how we take in information and process it, and then how we speak about it. Venus retrograde in Gemini would have been moving through a particular area of your chart that was requiring you to take a new look at something, to go deeper in your understanding, and to be curious, to dig into it, also open up to things that you didn't know, things you hadn't understood before. So there could have been something 4 years ago that was a catalyst for you in your relational dynamics, in what you were understanding about connections, especially with women. Venus rules our connections to everyone in our life, but also the more personal ones and who we interact with on a daily or regular basis when the energy is in Gemini. So this certainly highlights siblings and sisters, family members, neighbors, peers, friends, plus, of course, the pivotal relationships in your life, people that you live with and that you share space with regularly. The Venus retrograde in Gemini would be bringing up what you share with others, how you speak your needs and communicate what's on your mind. Now, this can be done in very simple terms. This is as simple as, talking to somebody about what you want to plan together, how you want to spend your time together, if you have the same interests and things you enjoy. This also brings up how you share what you don't like or what you don't want to do, and how others can relate and understand you. Venus in Gemini can have a lot to say. This can certainly be the chatty Cathy energy, or the one who likes to talk a lot, email a lot, connect a lot, who requires a lot of conversation and interaction. Venus in Gemini can also be heavily in the head, very cerebral, a deep thinker who likes to read and study and be inquisitive about topics that interest her. There is also an intelligence with Venus in Gemini where she processes through her mind and then wants to either write it out or talk it out in some capacity. Now, when Venus was retrograde in Gemini back in 2020, there may have been communication issues in connections that the universe was asking you to look at this. Look at how you can do this differently, how you can improve this. Be willing to learn. Be willing to see things from a different perspective or a different side. Look at what needs to change or shift and be open to what you don't know yet. So the retrograde Venus in Gemini would have brought us into more of a student or willingness to learn mindset that was designed to benefit you, to take you to the next level, and to learn what you're missing or what you need. Of course, there's many ways this could have played out, but if you look back, what was brought to your attention that then opened up new communication styles, new understandings of perhaps your love language, a new understanding of what you need in connections or friendships that wasn't in place or that you weren't communicating? What was coming up for you over these past 4 years that showed you more about how you were either holding back what you needed to say, or maybe you were over talking? It can be both things. It can be the full spectrum of, wow, I need to speak up more, or maybe I need to be a better listener. I need to talk less and listen more. So this is unique for each of us, of course, but there would have been something here that Venus was bringing our attention to around our communication styles and how those energies were showing up in relationships, friendships, and connections. Now, 4 years later, the universe is asking you to check in on your communication style. What has developed? What new skills are you actively applying with this Venus in Gemini energy? Because she is making what's called a superior conjunction to the Sun at 14 degrees 30 minutes on June 4th. And this is bringing to life more of who you are. This is an awakening to what you've realized about what you need and how you express yourself that's ready to be up-leveled, where you've realized, yes, I've been working on being a better listener, or yes, I am clear on where I need to be more forthright or self-assertive in sharing what's on my mind. There could also be things in place here where you've been learning about true friendship, what it means to be a sister to another female. Perhaps you've been improving your partnership skills and desiring more open communication and connections with others. This could also be a commitment to strengthening your throat chakra and any form of self-expression that feels natural to you, whether that is writing or talking or doing something that opens up and expands that throat chakra. Because this energy is working so specifically with the 13 and 14 degrees of Gemini point, this is working with you personally if you have planets or points at 13 or 14 degrees of Gemini. The Venus and the Sun energy are at this place, and they're also beginning a new synodic cycle. So when Venus is in a superior conjunction to the Sun that relates to these 4-year cycles, there is a refresh here, a rebirth, something coming alive with new strength. Think of it as blossoming and blooming. I also feel this as very strong creative energy that wants to move. It wants to do something, and you could be feeling that, especially this week, and especially as Venus and the Sun both move through Gemini. You could have lots of ideas, things that are pulling at you, that are exciting you. There could be something that you're realizing, I really want to do this, even if it's only for the short term, even if it's only for your eyes or for your personal journey. Trust what's coming up for you around this need to express yourself or create in a whole new way, because this is an up-leveling. This is an up-leveling of the energies based on what you've been learning. Gemini is a sign of duality. We think of it as the twins. We think of it as the energy of both sides of the body. It is a multitasker and can handle a lot of things at once. It's the ability to be both left brain and right brain and to see both sides of a topic, to contemplate it, to look at the details, the specific, the logistics. Gemini energy can be very technical, very specific. It's engineering. It's being able to hone in on how something works and to understand the nuts and bolts of it. So it can also be quite literal. It can be a very literal energy as well as very exact. So think of this as some type of energetic refresh or makeover that is coming through for you at 14 degrees of Gemini in your chart, where the energy wants to burst through and begin a new way of approaching your daily life that feels more in alignment with who you are, what you enjoy, what you value, and what makes you happy. And you could have insights here into what you need to change up in your daily environment so that you feel more alignment with those values. For example, you could realize I should start waking up a little bit earlier in the day if I want to do additional yoga stretching, or I want to make time in my evenings to take care of X, Y, and Z, or maybe there's something on the weekends that you want to fit in. Gemini is about how we spend our time on a daily basis. So look at what lifts your energy up, what raises it, what makes you feel happier and more peaceful, because those are also the energies that Venus seeks. She wants greater harmony. She wants you to feel good about your daily journey and what you're handling on a regular basis. So look at where you might be ready to change up your schedule or make some shifts that actually bring you more of the energies you want to experience regularly. It could even be realizing, I wish I had more time to read my favorite books, and how can I fit that into my busy schedule? So even if it is minor, there could be something here that you're seeing lifts your energy and is a positive change. Venus transits aren't always a big deal, meaning they aren't always something that you notice or sense, and you have to be aware of it. Now, this could also be the new start in the Gemini houses in your chart, where this conjunction, this superior conjunction that begins a new 4-year cycle between Venus and the Sun, what this is opening up for you are new ways of spending your day and your time, and also showing you more of what is possible that you didn't see before. I feel this too as a demonstration of growth, a demonstration of what you've learned over the past 4 years and how you're now applying it and readily using it in your experiences going forward. When Venus is conjunct the Sun is blasting new light, new consciousness, and new energy into the Venus expressions and lighting up Venus themes. So think of it as Venus is getting a 100% solar charge of energy during this superior conjunction that brings her to life, and there is a new consciousness rising around her self-love, her self-worth, what she wants in her life, what she wants to experience, and what she wants to receive. So this is part of that rebirth of the synodic cycle, where she then takes that energy forward and she feels that she has shifted, she has evolved and changed. So going back to where you have 13 and 14 degrees of Gemini in your chart, this is where a new awareness is coming through around not only your daily life, as I just mentioned, but what you're ready to implement that perhaps you never considered before. But here's the sun shining new light on that possibility, on that option, and opening up choices, opening up new choices that haven't presented themselves before. So there's something powerful here to just be aware of. And again, this is working with you more personally. If you have planets or points at 13 or 14 degrees of Gemini, I am going to take it forward to 17 degrees of Gemini, because that is how long the Sun and Venus are conjunct. They travel together until that Gemini new moon at 16 degrees, and then they start to pull away from each other at 17 degrees. If you have planets or points between 13 to 17 degrees of the air signs, so that would be Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, this is a superior conjunction that is certainly helping you with your communication skills, what you are here to express and create. It's helping you get clearer on those priorities and what you want to put your energy towards. If you have planets or points between 13 to 17 degrees of the mutable signs being Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, then this superior conjunction is offering you new ways to consider and think about how you're handling your daily schedule, your daily priorities. It's bringing you into the mental process, anything you've overlooked that Gemini wants you to get clearer on, and Venus wants it to be something that you enjoy. So this can open up more things that you need to work through or consider. It could even feel like a new option comes out of the blue, a new choice presents itself, or something you never considered is now on the table. But the strength of the mutable signs is being adaptable, is being open to change, and allowing that to be something that works in your favor. Since Venus is connected to feminine energies, this could be a new feminine energy that enters into your space, whether that is a sister, a roommate, a girlfriend, a spouse, a coworker, a friend. Something feminine is meant to come through and provide perhaps the logistical plan, the solution, the next steps. So there is a highlight on feminine energy whenever Venus is conjunct the Sun, and the same is true for masculine energy whenever Mars is conjunct the Sun. Venus also highlights not only what we value, but what we buy, what we spend money on, and our financial energy. This could show you where you are in alignment with your personal values. This superior conjunction could also bring you into new alignment with what you want to change and what you want to do differently, especially with daily costs. And by daily costs, I'm thinking about the phone bill or the apps on your phone. This could relate to streaming services, things you use for communication, for technology. It can also relate to your daily costs, whether those are your everyday electrical bills or stopping to get gas, what you pay for in a vehicle, insurance, all of those things that are related to how we live our daily lives. You could have some new understandings around this is a good way to spend my money, and conversely, this is not, right? Where you're realizing, I'm going to shop around here and see if I can get a better deal on my car insurance. Or maybe my phone bill is too high and it would be worth searching for other options or other plans with a different phone carrier. Those kinds of choices come up when Venus is conjunct the Sun in Gemini, as we're aware of what we're spending on a daily basis to live our lives. You could also have insights into how to be more financially savvy and efficient. For example, one of the messages I'm getting is that you might realize, wow, I should be paying all my bills on a certain credit card because that credit card earns me air miles or converts into some other reward program. And therefore, even when I pay off my bill every month, I'm also earning these miles or earning these rewards along the way. So that's a way to have that payment benefit you twice, right? Because not only is it then paying off the bills, but then you're earning rewards or whatever that credit card reward system might be. but it only benefits you if you're paying off the credit card. Otherwise, you're just earning probably a ton of interest on that credit card. So just be savvy about it. But that's a way to look at how you can get your money to work for you in a dual way, which is Gemini, duality. How can this be more efficient? How can this work for me twice? So this superior conjunction begins a new 4-year cycle, as I mentioned, and it's designed to up-level you. It's designed to bring in more of these higher frequencies that you feel and connect with on a daily basis. So I want to touch on relationships and partnerships because I know that is such a big theme for so many people, and that can relate to soulmates, lovers, divine connections, whatever you might call it. But those energies are also being refreshed because whenever Venus up levels, it allows those parts of ourselves to grow, to continue to grow. And that's what healthy relationships allow us to do, allow us to become more of ourselves while traveling with another. Of course, apply this to however it fits for you, but this is meant to be information that supports any or all connections that relate to your heart, since Venus rules our heart-based connections. So over the past 4 years, when we think of this just through the lens of this particular Venus cycle in Gemini, there have been so many frequency changes and shifts on the planet. I mean, too many to count, really. There's been so many upgrades, so many changes, so much happening that's been supporting us in our growth and in understanding more of what we need, who we are, and the people who can travel with us. And because there have been so many frequency changes, there could have been a lot of changes in your own relationships and connections over a number of years, right? Like not just the past 4 years, it could of course be changes you've been going through over a decade, depending on your own spiritual journey and ascension process. But what I'm feeling here as we go into these relational energies is that there are more people who will be coming together because their connections started in the higher frequencies. Their connections started in the 5D, where the universe is understanding where there is a match. And the matches are meant to be long-term, meaning they're meant to be people that you can travel with, grow with, who have done the bulk of their healing work. And that's a message I'm receiving here really strongly, because we have people show up on our path who support our healing, but they're not meant to travel with us long-term for whatever reason. And it can all be divine, right? It can all be for a beautiful reason. But if it's meant to be a healing connection, then it will show you what needs to heal, what you need to work on, what you're ready to move through. And then perhaps that's when the connection ends or falls away, because then they go on their path and you go on yours. And that's different than a connection that is meant to be growth, where you grow together, you evolve together, you continually have this beautiful synergy that supports the other. And this can certainly be romantic, but also friendships. So relate this or put this in your world as it resonates. And if it doesn't resonate, of course, don't make it so. But what I'm seeing is that part of how relational dynamics have changed is that they're coming from what I'll say the top down, where the energies come together in the 5D and then the universe moves the chess pieces around so that you can connect in the 3D. And this is different than, let's say, a bottom-up perspective where you first meet in the 3D and then figure out, what do we have in common? What's your favorite color? Do you have any siblings? Where'd you grow up? Like, that's a different kind of dynamic than what I'm feeling and sensing here in these higher frequencies. So there's a lot of you who have been trusting this, and you've been trusting it with all your might to the point where you've just let go. You've surrendered, you've thrown it up in the air. I feel like many of you are connected to an energy in the 5D that hasn't appeared yet in the physical or in the 3D, but you sense it's coming, or it has just arrived. I'm also seeing this in my personal world where I have one of my best friends who had this connection show up for her really quickly in December, where she met somebody and it was just like this instantaneous connection because they both had done so much healing work that they didn't have to go down a certain path together. They were both ready. They were both all in. They both wanted the relationship, and they're still in that place of being committed to it, putting energy into it as it grows and evolves. But essentially, the relationship wasn't one that required what I'd say the heaviness of a 3D connection, meaning there wasn't a lot of ego. In fact, there was no ego. It was one of open hearts. It was one of a willingness to connect, to be emotionally available, to be vulnerable, to share what the vulnerabilities have been or the healing path has been, to be honest about, mistakes or lessons or what has been learned. So there's a lot that goes into these next level connections that can feel quite easy, almost way too easy. Sort of like it plays with your mind. You're like, it shouldn't be this easy. Usually I have to do A, B, and C in order to get to know somebody. But this can feel like the person is home. They just have a comfort to them because they're matching you in the ways that count, and primarily matching in the heart. So it's a powerful heart connection that isn't blocked, that isn't limited, that isn't shut down. It's an open-hearted connection. And then there's also that emotional openness that is very authentic. And I'm seeing this visually as energies intertwining and dancing together in a way that feels quite natural. And that's basically the energetic reward, if you will, for the healing work you've done, for what you have cleared out, what has been triggered or what came up for you that you've shifted on, you've course corrected, you learned from it. And I feel, again, this directly relates to the Venus energies of I deserve better. I want to be better in my connections. I require a better version of myself that shows up. And that's also what I'm seeking in another, someone who has that same value and those same standards of themselves. So this is the up-leveling. This feels like relationship connections you've never experienced before. And it's funny because as soon as I said that, I also got this pull into ancient connections that were purer and simpler than even the ones we have in modern times. And I don't have an exact time frame to reference because I'm actually feeling a number of ancient energies. I mean, at first I felt Atlantis, then I felt Lemurian, then I felt the energies of very pure lifetimes that, again, I don't even know what the time period would be. But if that resonates with you, if you feel like you have that in your soul's journey, in your soul's history, a time of very pure, honest, authentic connections, then be sure and give that life. Be sure and be open to the energetic downloads you could receive around those types of connections, because there could be something there that is really familiar for you that also helps you pull in or attract that soulmate or divine partner who's on the same wavelength. I'm also feeling like these new relationships that are coming forward and forming are not your usual type, quote unquote type, whatever that means to you. It's not your usual person. It's not who you would have picked out from the crowd. It's not who you would have normally gravitated towards. But as you do your healing work, you deeply change and you become more of your true self. You become more of your authentic energy signature. And that's where these energies show up and where they come forward, because I'm just seeing these, it looks like these connections that could confuse you at first, but that is simply the mind trying to figure it out. It also could be some type of mini test that's testing your own openness and your own heart space to look at, well, what am I expecting Because when we're expecting something, it often is from the ego or the mind, where we're like, well, I'm expecting it to look like this, or I need it to look like that. And that could also be showing your comfort zone or a safety mechanism. It could be showing you what you're also overly focused on. And the universe wants you to stay open. Stay open to what arrives that is a good energy fit and a good match that, again, you didn't expect, or it wasn't what you thought or who you thought would show up. And then, of course, all that can change as you get to know somebody, as you get to understand their heart, their journey, who they are, what they've been through, how they've grown, what lessons they've mastered, and all of those interesting particulars that we learn about somebody as we spend more time with them and we share space. I'm also feeling like some of these connections are going to be fast moving on an emotional level, where, yes, you're aware of perhaps not wanting to overshare or be too vulnerable too soon or too open too fast, but there seems to be the quality of feeling very comfortable with somebody and that they are trustworthy. Of course, trust this for yourself. Don't overwhelm somebody too quickly or rush to establish false intimacy. That isn't true on both sides. I mean, there's still things about developing a connection with somebody that you build it over time, and that can't be rushed, because there are parts of getting to know somebody that you don't see until you're in a situation with them or you're in an experience with them. There's also the need to be responsible with your energy and to look at how things play out over time, because it's over time that you get to know somebody really well and you get to know more of who they really are. You can't hide after a certain point in relationships. And that is certainly true when you're living with somebody, where it's when you live with them that you really get to know them and everything else falls away. So know that there are things that need to be observed and practiced when getting to know somebody. Don't just rush into a situation or assume that this is automatically a lifelong connection or partnership. There is the need to still be practical, grounded, logical, and to not idealize. But with these higher frequencies, relationships unfold differently. And that's really what I'm getting at here, is that the 5D frequencies are going to bring people together and create these connections in a whole new way that will be misunderstood or perhaps even misinterpreted by those who are heavily in the 3D. Because relationships that start in the higher energies have a different growth trajectory than those that start in the 3D, simply because everything is energy and the universe needs more healthy unions. And that was really the driving message I was getting before I did this podcast, is that I was feeling that message come through so strongly. The universe, the earth, humanity needs more love connections now, needs more people coming together in healthy, healed unions, needs that energy on the planet, needs it to be something alive and activated, needs it to be beautifully grounded in and also offered to the collective energy. So know that these connections that are coming together serve a bigger purpose and also could be so beautifully affirming of your own path, of what you've been working through, what you've been trusting, what you've been healing, what you're aware of in yourself that you've wanted to change. You didn't want to be on the merry-go-round of connections. You didn't want to stay in a karmic loop. You didn't want to stay in whatever those old patterns were. You were committed to your own healing path. And when we make those powerful choices, we don't know when the reward comes. We don't always know when there's going to be a light on the other side of the tunnel, because often when we do that deepest work, we do go through the dark night of the soul. We do see more of our own shadow, what we don't like about ourselves, what we're not proud of. We look at where we need to be more healed, what we need to change. Of course, you meet your inner child. You understand more about how you grew up, right? Your childhood and who your parents were and what you've been doing in your world that you didn't realize before. So there's a lot of work that goes into shifting this trajectory. And I feel like the universe has not only been aware of that and kept tabs on it, but knows that we need the reward. We need to have the validation that what you've been investing in pays off. And I feel that coming. I feel that is a big part of the second half of 2024. It's also important to have that energy open in yourself, in your life, in your heart, so that there is space for that person to come in. And I'm feeling too like it will be the next level of growth, where there will now be new things that you will be learning with them and through them. There will be new applications of practicing your communication skills, practicing what it means to speak up and share what you're thinking, being aware of what you are doing differently from these higher energies that could be quite vulnerable at first. But keep in mind that it's that vulnerability that creates the truest connections, where you let people into your world, into your heart, and then you have access into theirs as well. So I feel like there's going to be new levels of willingness and new levels of commitment, new levels of connection here that this Venus cycle is opening up as part of what is best for you and also what's best for the collective energies on the planet. Now, when we talk about relationship dynamics, and especially with Gemini being the twins, it often brings up people's inquiries about twin flames and what that means and what that looks like. The twin flame concept first came to light, I believe, in 2015, 2016. It was a really big deal around that time and into 2017 and beyond. And as with all spiritual concepts, it has evolved and changed as more people have had their experiences or gone through their own relationship journey. So in regards to twin flames, it could be quite personal to you. It could be something that you understand, that you resonate with. As with all things on the spiritual path, it comes down to the energetics and looking at how this is supporting your own growth. And if it is something that you resonate with, that is beautiful for you, that is loving, that is something that even makes you feel more connected to yourself or to your soul's journey. There are many different definitions of twin flames out there. And that, of course, could be something else that you either resonate with or not. I personally don't have a twin flame. I don't resonate with the concept. It isn't something that I'm interested in having. I have my own personal reasonings around that, but it has been interesting to explore it and to understand it. So again, this is personal for you. I think ultimately it's about what relationships support you in connecting with your God self. What relationships support you in understanding your own source energy or your own soul's journey? And that could certainly be through a connection that you identify as a twin flame, but it doesn't have to. And I know there are many theories around twin flames. It's idealized. It's something that a lot of people have heavily explored and invested in. But at the end of the day, it's really looking at, does this make me feel powerful or powerless? Does this feel like I'm more connected to the truth of who I am? Or is it pulling away from that connection to my soul? Some people become heavily dependent on the twin flame connection. They become heavily invested and codependent on it. I mean, there's people who will get regular psychic readings on you to ask about what you're doing and to figure out your energy. Very unhealthy. Obviously a violation of your own sovereignty and spiritual energies. And I always think those are the unethical psychics who set themselves up for some kind of karmic blowback when they invest in those kinds of readings that focus on other people without their permission. And then the energy shows up through other lessons, such as having severe financial problems because you were overly invested in somebody else's energy and getting psychic readings on them without their permission. Or it can show up as health issues or other problems in your life. So basically, we are entering into faster moving energies where nothing is hidden. Assume everything is seen and transparent. Assume that the truth comes out, the truth is revealed, and assume that what you are doing is seen by the universe who wants you to be happy. But it's based on what you are creating, what you are putting energy into. So it's more worthwhile to look at, what do I need to heal, or what is blocking me, or what do I need to understand about my own relationship dynamics. Anything that ultimately empowers you is what the universe loves, and that in fact accelerates your manifestations. Being a master manifester is about being so clear and so pure in your intention and in your energies that it just magnetizes things into you. So if you want to call in this soulmate or divine partner, if you're truly ready and open for this level of connection, the best thing to do is to keep your energy open and pure, to be aware of your triggers and what you're healing, to be very honest and authentic in your own energy and what is showing up for you, to make sure that you're still on course for what you were willing to change or shift in yourself, so that you are a better version of yourself that is whole. There is a wholeness now in these frequencies where you could feel like you are more of yourself than ever before, that you've done so much healing work, that you have grown and evolved so beautifully, that you know the value of relationships, the value of connections, and how they enhance your experience. Now, of course, I'm speaking about this in general terms because each of us is on our own timelines in our lives, but I hope this gives you some understanding of how the Venus superior conjunction to the sun is bringing new life, not only to the heart, but to the throat chakra, and how you're able to beautifully grow and evolve in new ways that we can't even see yet. Ultimately, the most important energy imprint here is how much you're loving yourself, how much you are loving and accepting yourself, how much you are pouring into who you are with self-acceptance and self-worth, how you're feeling more confident in your gifts, your abilities, and how you're allowing that to be an energy that continues to sparkle from within. Because I'm seeing this as having a very sparkly heart space, as just feeling very whole and content within yourself. And think about how attractive that is, right? That level of confidence, that ability to simply love who you are where you're at, is a beautiful way of being in your authentic self. So whatever is transpiring for you, or whatever comes to life for you during this superior conjunction, I hope it leads you to more self-love, self-acceptance, more creativity. I hope it also connects you to some awesome things that you would enjoy incorporating into your daily life. Not to mention some more fun and play, which are also part of the Gemini expressions, where there could be something you just don't want to take it too seriously. You just want to allow things to be lighter, and that might be exactly what you need with this energy too. So as always, thank you for joining me for this topic. Please be sure to search my YouTube playlists for more about Venus, whether it's your natal Venus or the Venus star point energies. I know I've done various shows on Venus. Also, check out my book, Awakening Astrology, where I discuss Venus through each of the 12 astrology signs, so you can understand what your Venus is awakening to in this lifetime, what skills she's developing, how she's evolving, how she's healing and growing. And that could also help you connect some dots here on what is coming up for you during this Venus cycle. So that book is called Awakening Astrology, and you can find it as a paperback, a digital ebook, or audiobook version. And we discuss your 5 personal planets. So not only your Venus, but your Sun, your Moon, Mercury, and your Mars, and the various layers of each of these planets in your chart. This is designed for beginners as well as more intermediate people, because I give you some new insights and interpretations into your 5 personal planets. So please check out that book if you are drawn to it for any reason, because as always, I hope it helps you understand more of who you are. Thank you so much for joining me for this podcast episode. I'll be back every Monday and Wednesday for a new episode. I hope to see you there. In the meantime, enjoy these beautiful Venus energies, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.